Are cruise ducks out of control? Should parents be fined for their children's bad behavior on board cruise ships? Should people be allowed to scream at crew members? It is Sunday, November 3rd, 2024, and on this week's edition of Sunday SofaTime on Tour, we're talking about unpopular cruising opinions. Welcome to the Westin Hotel Long Beach. We checked in here 2 days ago because we are leaving tomorrow on the NCL Bliss for a cruise to Mazatlan, Cabo San Lucas, and Puerto Vallarta. And I'm gonna make a video where I'm like playing a character and I pronounce all the names wrong to say like, I'm on a cruise to Mazatlan, Cabo San Lucas, and Puerto Vallarta. I think that'll be just as fun as it was making the videos where I say goodbye USA, hello Hawaii. I'm Morgan from the Very Unofficial Travel Guides. I've been making travel videos for over 15 years of popular and not so popular tourist destinations to give you a very honest, unofficial look at what it's like to be there. And I'm also the author of 2 travel books, Getting Stitches on a Cruise Ship and Places Please, coming very soon. A couple weeks ago on my Very Unofficial Travel Guides Facebook page, I posted this meme. It says, what's your unpopular opinion about cruising that will get you banned in some cruise groups? And we're gonna go through the comments on that today. Cruising is a type of vacation that has become so popular, and I think that's the reason many of you came to the Very Unofficial Travel Guides in the first place. And one great thing about cruising is there are so many different lines and so many different ships and so many different destinations that there is almost literally a combination that would fit everybody. But with cruising, just like with Disney World and other things you can spend your vacation dollars on, people have opinions. And my unpopular opinion that would get me banned in some cruising groups is that the cruise ducks are out of control. I talked about this in a whole separate video where I mentioned that 2 travel trends that I think are totally out of control and need to really be reeled in are the cruise ducks and these love locks. And yeah, I got a lot of opinions about that. A lot of people who agree with me, some people who don't agree with me, but here on the Very Unofficial Travel Guides Facebook post, as far as the cruise ducks go, a lot of people seem to agree. Kelly says, 1000%, cruise ducks used to be somewhat cute, now it's an invasion. Kelly also mentions kids in hot tubs, and I totally agree, especially the adults only hot tubs. I think hot tubs should be a place that you go and sit to relax and maybe warm up for like 10 minutes and then you move on. Hot tubs shouldn't be a place that you like spend the whole afternoon in, and it definitely shouldn't be a place, in my opinion, where kids are jumping around and playing with their snorkels and swimming masks. There's a different place for that, and it's called the pool. But back to the ducks. Peggy Barnett says, ducks are out of control. Stefan says, I agree about the ducks. John says, I agree. We bring 1 duck per each of us. Michelle says, I still do ducks, but I've limited myself to bringing only what I can fit into a 6x8 zipper pouch. Some people do bring too many. I'm not sure where it is, but somebody said, yeah, imagine if you're on a ship with like 4,000 passengers. If everybody brings 2 or 3 ducks, I'm horrible at math, but that's like, what? Like 8,000 ducks? It's just a little bit too much now. Moving on to a totally different subject, or a list of subjects. This one is from Carol Andrew. Carol writes, no big screen, no music, and no silly games around the pool. I just want to lay there and relax. Also, make cruising about being at sea. On some ships, you're lucky if you ever see the sea. I love to walk around the promenade decks, not central promenades that look like a shopping mall. And there are many things about this that I agree with, and I'm interested in what you're thinking too. On ships, if there's just one pool, I feel like there should be, during the times that you want to be at the pool, quiet times and party times. But there are some ships where it's just like Carol is saying, there's a big screen, there's music, there's silly games, and it's going almost all day long. And then the question is, if you want to be outside and relax, where can you even do it? And I feel like the cruise lines that offer that kind of relaxing, quiet, open to the sea vibes, they are all in a certain price category. And by that, I mean a high price category. So why can't there be like one Royal Caribbean ship that's like the chill ship, or one area that is supposed to be just chill. And if you're thinking, well, what about the Oasis class ships with the adults only solarium? Well, I can tell you, it ain't always quiet and relaxing in there either. And speaking of Oasis class ships, Kim Friedstrom writes, the Oasis class sucks. There you have it. I can understand why some people have that opinion. The Oasis class of ships are the biggest, loudest, most activity included ships that are cruising nowadays, and that's definitely not the kind of vacation that fits to everybody. I get it. By the way, if I seem a little bit distracted right now, it's because I'm in Los Angeles for 3 days, and of course I'm here on one of the days where it's raining outside, so we're kind of stuck in the hotel at the moment. But we did have a great day at Knott's Scary Farm yesterday. We stayed there until 2 o'clock in the morning because, we're so young and full of energy. And the night before that, we went to the Dark Harbor event on the actual Queen Mary, and that was really cool too. So it's not like we haven't gotten to get out and about, but it is raining today in Los Angeles. How often does that happen? Okay, here's another popular or unpopular opinion we can discuss. Margaret Stern says all cruise lines should not let anyone in the MDR without formal wear on formal nights. There should be a separate restaurant for non-formal people, and there kind of is, isn't there? It's called the buffet. I agree. I'm not one of these people who really enjoys getting all dressed up for formal night. Other people like Ken Hartman, who says, wear shorts in the dining room. I don't really care. Agrees. Michael Fogassi says, formal nights need to go. And Debbie Engerin says, I second formal night. It's lame. Do it if you want, but I don't feel like spending all day in the sun to have to work that hard to go eat frozen lobster at the exact same table I ate at last night. I dress up enough on non-vacation. So yeah, I think the thing is, if there is a formal night and it's supposed to be formal in the main dining room or a certain restaurant, I guess I kind of feel like then if you're gonna go there that night, you should at least dress up a little bit. And if you don't want to dress up, that's totally fine, but then don't go there. You know what I mean? There's plenty of other options to eat on board. You don't have to go to the main dining room or main restaurant on formal night if you don't want to dress up. Here's a good one, and I don't think that this is an unpopular opinion. Luann Alley says, people screaming at the crew should be banned to their room and escorted off at the next port, and I completely agree with you. There are people who feel like I paid for this cruise, and now the people who work here are basically my servants. They should be ready to do what I say and get what I want at all times, regardless of how I ask for it or how ridiculous it is. I am pretty much the opposite of that kind of person, and I think a lot of you out there are too. And if you're one of those people who are what I was just describing, maybe it's time to do some work on yourself. If you can think back now on your last cruise or last cruises and know that on all of these cruises you've raised your voice to a crew member, I'm just gonna say, I don't want to hang out with you. You're not the kind of people I like to be around. Yes, things can go wrong, and of course, yes, crew members are people doing a job. Sometimes you have good, motivated days on your job. Sometimes you have less motivated days on your job. We all know what that's like. But I can think of very few situations where it should be acceptable or accepted to raise your voice or even scream at a crew member, unless they're like hurting you or your children or family. You know what I mean? Like, why would it be okay to scream at a crew member? It's just a cruise, people. Relax. Here's an interesting opinion, kind of similar to what we were talking about in the hot tubs before. Allie Hale says, children should be accompanied by an adult at all times. And this comment got 32 thumbs up and many hearts and things like that. And this is interesting because, of course, children of a certain age are responsible enough to be left alone at a place like a theme park or a cruise ship or the beach or whatever. But that doesn't always mean that they're gonna do the right thing or act correctly when their parents aren't around. And I'm pretty sure that all of you out there have experienced situations on cruise ships where you've thought,
where are those kids' parents?
Kids are on vacation too, and just like a lot of adults, they kind of let themselves go on vacation sometimes. And being on a cruise ship, because the parents know they can't really run away unless they, let's not talk about the unless. I think parents might be even more lenient about letting their kids go off and do their own thing. They're hanging out with other kids from the kids clubs and things like that. I personally don't think that teenagers need to be accompanied by their parents the whole time, but of course, kids who you wouldn't leave home alone, they should be accompanied by their parents or an adult at all times. That brings me to another point. Many amusement parks this past summer and the summer before, it's been very recently, have enforced I think it's 15 or 16 and up chaperone policy, meaning that if your kids are 15 or 16 years and younger, that there has to be an adult who's responsible for them, with them in the park. And the reason they were doing that is because, yes, a lot of kids were acting up and creating problems. Somebody's got to be there to deal with it. And a lot of parents were using their local amusement park as kind of like a daycare for the kids, dropping them off there in the morning, giving them $20 to spend on food, and then picking them up at the end of their work day and taking them back home. And I would have loved that as a teenager, but I also acted right. By the way, now the sun is coming out, so happy about that, and I'm sure there's a rainbow someplace over there. Along the same lines, Tina Garza says, sorry to be a party pooper, but there ought to be proper reprimands for the parents of out-of-control children on board, including fines for incidences beyond minor infractions, not just fines for physical damages to cruise assets. Your child is your responsibility, and hard-working cruise personnel and other passengers do not deserve to be subjected to the disrespectful and dangerous behavior of children who are improperly monitored. Signed, a pregnant lady who will be bringing her baby on its first cruise in 2026.
Well, you go, Tina.
Yeah, this is a tricky one. Kids need to act right. There needs to be consequences for them acting wrong, not just on cruise ships, but everywhere in their life. And that's how kids learn what is right and what is wrong. And who's responsible to teach kids what is right and wrong? They're school teachers, of course. I'm kidding. The parents or whoever is raising these kids, they are responsible to teach the kids what is right and wrong. And then, of course, responsible to deal with the kids when what they're doing is not right, but wrong. But how could you set up like a traceable fine system for children's behavior on board? Like, what would that look like, and who's going to enforce that? Anything like that is then going to have to be, there's also going to have to be like a court for it, where the parents can appeal the fine if they feel like what their kids did was not wrong. You know what I mean? I don't see that happening, but what I do, and I think most of you agree with, is kids need to act right, and their parents need to make sure it's happening. All right, everybody, I'm gonna wrap up this special Sunday Sofa Time from here in my, I was gonna say cruise ship cabin, but that's tomorrow, Morgan. Tomorrow is cruise ship. Today, hotel. It's raining again. Thank you for spending this part of your Sunday, or whatever day it is you watch this, with me. I'm Morgan from the Very Unofficial Travel Guide. Stay tuned for videos from my Norwegian Bliss Mexico adventure coming soon. Bye-bye.